Here is something that might change how you think about your health forever. A randomized controlled trial published in 2024 asked this question. If you gave inactive adults just 90 seconds of all-out stair climbing per day, 3 short bursts of 30 seconds each, would anything actually happen? The results were extraordinary. After 6 weeks, their cardiovascular fitness had improved by 7%. The comparison group, they did 40 minutes of moderate cycling 3 times a week. They got nothing, no significant improvement at all. 3 minutes of stair climbing a week beat 40 minutes of cycling. Let that land for a moment. And here is where it gets even more interesting. The same body of research shows that exercising 3 days a week can actually make you less active overall, because your brain compensates by shutting down the rest of your day's movement. So what does that mean for how we should approach daily health? That is exactly what today's episode is about. Welcome to the Wellness Bridge. I'm Gary Chen, physiotherapist and founder of GC Integrative Physiotherapy and Wellness on the Gold Coast. And today I am joined by someone whose work has completely shifted how I think about movement and daily habit formation. Dr. Michael is a Brisbane-based exercise physiologist who leads research into habitual physical activity (NEAT), non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and the science of why small movements accumulated across the day may be more powerful for long-term health than any gym program. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thanks, Gary. It's a real pleasure to be here. I've been following the Wellness Bridge, and I love how you connect the clinical evidence with the bigger philosophical picture of what health actually means.
Let's start with a core idea. Most people, when they think about exercise and health, imagine a gym session, a run, a class, something with a start time and a finish time. What is wrong with that picture?
The problem is that we have medicalized movement. We have turned something that should be woven into every hour of our day into a single scheduled event, and then we sit completely still for the other 23 hours. And here is what the research actually shows. For most people in modern life, structured exercise, what scientists call AAT, exercise activity thermogenesis, accounts for roughly 1 to 2% of your total daily energy expenditure. 1 to 2%.
So we are optimizing the 1% and completely ignoring the 99%.
Exactly. The remaining energy expenditure comes from 3 things: your resting metabolic rate, digestion, and what we call NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Every step you take, every time you stand up, every trip to the kitchen, every fidget and shift in your chair, that is NEAT. And here is the jaw-dropping number. NEAT can vary by up to 2,000 calories per day between 2 individuals of exactly the same size and weight. 2,000 calories. That is the difference between gaining weight and being naturally lean, and it has almost nothing to do with what you do at the gym.
So when people say they have a fast metabolism, are they actually just high NEAT people?
Largely, yes. James Levine at the Mayo Clinic did a beautiful overfeeding study in 1999. He overfed 16 volunteers by 1,000 calories every day for 8 weeks. Some people gained almost no body fat. Others gained significant amounts. The difference? The people who resisted fat gain had massively increased their spontaneous daily movement, their NEAT, to compensate. Some burned an extra 690 calories just through extra fidgeting and movement across the day, without thinking about it.
And that spontaneous movement, is that something we can consciously increase?
Absolutely. And this is where the research on movement snacks becomes really exciting.
Let's talk about exercise snacks. Define it for our listeners.
An exercise snack is a structured bout of physical activity lasting 5 minutes or less, performed at least twice daily, at least 3 times per week. That is the research definition. But in practice, we are talking about things as simple as 60 seconds of stair climbing, 10 squats before a meeting, a brisk 2-minute walk around the block, small, scattered, purposeful movement.
And what does the evidence actually say about these micro-sessions?
The evidence is now quite compelling. A 2024 scoping review by Matthew Jones and colleagues looked at 32 studies, including 20 clinical trials. They found that vigorous intermittent lifestyle physical activity, what they call VILPA, shows a steep, near-linear association with reduced all-cause mortality, cardiovascular mortality, and cancer mortality. And the stair climbing trial, that was Yin and colleagues, published in 2024 in Applied Physiology, Nutrition and Metabolism, 42 inactive adults. One group did 3 sessions of stair climbing per week, 3 30-second all-out climbs per session, bouts separated by more than an hour. The other group did 40 minutes of moderate cycling 3 times per week. After 6 weeks, the stair climbing group improved their cardiovascular fitness, their VO2 peak, by 7%. The cycling group showed no statistically significant improvement at all. Now, I want to be transparent here. This was a young, inactive cohort, but it illustrates something profound. When you are starting from near zero activity, extremely brief high-intensity movement can drive more adaptation than sustained moderate effort.
What about the paradox? The finding that more exercise days can actually decrease overall movement.
This is one of my favorite paradoxes in the literature. A study by Gary Hunter and colleagues looked at sedentary women on a low-calorie diet. 2 exercise sessions per week led to an increase in NEAT, more spontaneous movement throughout the day. 3 sessions per week on the same diet led to a substantial drop in NEAT. The body compensated. What is happening is that intense exercise creates a metabolic and neurological fatigue signal. The brain responds by reducing spontaneous activity to recover. So the gym everyday crowd may be exercising more in the gym and moving less everywhere else, and the net effect on total energy expenditure can actually be negative compared to gentler, more distributed movement.
That is genuinely counterintuitive, and it speaks to something I hear from patients all the time. They exercise, they are exhausted, they collapse on the couch, and wonder why they are not seeing results.
Exactly. The body is not a simple machine. It is a deeply intelligent, adaptive system, and it will find equilibrium wherever you try to push it too hard.
Michael, I want to bring in something that I find deeply resonant here. In Japanese philosophy, there is a concept called kaizen, which translates as continuous improvement through small, consistent actions. No dramatic leaps, just a 1% better every day. And in Taoism, there is Wu Wei, which means effortless action. Movement that flows so naturally with the rhythms of your life that it does not feel like effort at all. What I find striking is that the science you are describing, distributed movement snacks throughout the day, NEAT, as the foundation of health. This is actually what human bodies were designed for. Our ancestors were not gym goers. They were farmers, fishermen, craftspeople. Movement was woven into every hour of their day. We are not discovering something new. We are recovering something we lost.
I love that framing, and it ties into something the research confirms biologically. There are peptides in the brain, called orexins, that regulate spontaneous physical activity. Studies show that up to 57% of variation in day-to-day spontaneous movement is genetically influenced. These orexin systems evolved to keep us moving throughout the day in low to moderate bursts, not to keep us still for 8 hours and then sprint for 60 minutes. We have engineered the movement out of daily life. Labor-saving devices alone account for roughly 111 fewer calories burned per day compared to a century ago. That adds up to more than 40,000 calories per year. We are not lazier. We have built laziness into the infrastructure of our lives.
And the solution is not willpower. It is redesigning the environment, making movement the default, which is exactly what Wu Wei describes, removing the resistance, making it effortless. Let's give people something they can use this week. 3 specific evidence-based movement habits. Walk us through them.
Absolutely. Number 1, the stair snack. If you have access to stairs, at work, at home, in a car park, choose them. And do not just walk up 3 times throughout your day. Do one fast, all-out climb, just 30 seconds. You might be slightly out of breath at the top. That is the signal you are looking for. Over 6 weeks, the research suggests that can meaningfully improve your cardiovascular fitness.
Even if I only do that on weekdays, that is still 15 snacks per week. That is 15 windows of stimulus for the cardiovascular system.
Exactly right. Number 2, the 20-minute rule. Set a timer or use an app. Every 20 minutes of sitting, stand up and do 2 minutes of movement. Walk to the kitchen, do a set of calf raises, march in place. The research on interrupting sedentary time shows that even 2 minutes of large muscle movement ameliorates the metabolic damage of prolonged sitting. 2 minutes per 20, that is roughly 96 minutes of distributed movement built into a standard workday.
And number 3?
Number 3 is about identity. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology published in 2024 found that people who framed their habits in identity terms, I am someone who moves throughout the day, rather than outcome terms, I want to lose weight, were 32% more likely to maintain those habits long term. This connects directly to the habit design work of B.J. Fogg at Stanford. The anchor habit, after I sit down at my desk, I will do 5 standing desk calf raises. After I finish a phone call, I will walk to the window. Small, anchored, consistent.
Not a program, a way of being.
Exactly. Kaizen. Not a sprint, a way of living.
Michael, as we wrap up, what is the one thing you most want listeners to take away from today's conversation?
That movement is not something you do, it is something you are. Your body was built for continuous, distributed, gentle activity interspersed with occasional vigorous bursts. That is the ancient prescription, and the science is finally catching up to prove it.
I love that. And I think it removes so much of the guilt and the overwhelm that people carry around fitness. You do not need to be at the gym 5 days a week to be healthy. You need to be alive, genuinely, actively, physically present in every ordinary hour of your day. Thank you so much, Dr. Michael Patel, for sharing your research and your insight. This has genuinely expanded how I think about prescribing movement to my own patients.
Thanks, Gary. Keep building that bridge.
And to everyone listening, if this episode made you think differently about how you move through your day, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave us a review, hit subscribe, and we will see you next week on the Wellness Bridge. Remember, together we find balance in one.